we can control.
What's up, guys? This is Therese Sallin, aka T-zer, reporting again from the podcast Dance and Talks, released from A Live Story Amsterdam. I hope you guys have had a great summer, and it's time for me to release an episode I recorded in the beginning of the corona and before the holidays. Women are some of the finest dancehall dancers in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, and I am so honored to talk with dancers from the Junction Crew, no one else than Gloria and AWA.
Me and all of me ex them good. I must to me did a sex them good.
Crush roads,
When the
tree.
general and keeping at the state that every chicken that I left them good.
Me love the girl them but me never trust them. That's why me full of woman so I doesn't plus them. When they catch a girl I give a man a red. She still a tell her say she and the dude that just friend. Them with the girl and me say never trust them. That's why me no run fi fuck them and cut them. Enough man girls turn a Bellevue, but me say me prefer first them. Until the day me dead, every single day a different girl inna me bed. Man a Jenna son a girl no run me head. She sit up on the peg the one Tiffany a beg and I hear what me said. Till the day me die, every day a new girl jaws off fi fly. Me no trust a girl because the fucker them lie. Bring out the hell she always have a alibi. Can't left it on a cry. Max never put me on in a semi-cry.
This will be an interesting episode since I never had two people at the same time in one episode. I want AWA and Gloria to introduce themselves and tell us their way into dancehall. The one thing you should know is that they're both running Junction Crew, a dancehall crew in Amsterdam that are not only bringing Jamaican artists to teach workshops, but also promoting the dancehall culture locally in the Netherlands by festivals, theater shows, and their own performances. Today, I also want to give an extra shout out to all of our podcast listeners out there. Over 1,000 downloads on only the podcast. And if you want to see the video interviews, you can always watch the alivestory.official on Facebook and A Live Story at YouTube. If you missed the other episodes, don't worry. I will link everything in the description, and don't forget to check out the other interviews I have made with salsa dancers, breakdance champions, kizomba heroes, and much more. Your comments, rating, and sharing means the world to me, and I watch every single one of them. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And now, let's get it going. Welcome to this interview, AWA and Gloria from Junction Crew. Bop, 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 bop. Where are you located right now, and how are you doing?
We are located in Utrecht, actually, where I live at the moment. So we're not in Amsterdam. But yeah, I'm okay. I'm doing well. It's all different now because of Corona, but yeah, everything's going fine.
Mm-hmm. Same over here. Yeah, I live in Amsterdam, but now I'm visiting here, and everything has been pretty chill actually, with the good weather and stuff. So it's good.
Yeah.
I had an amazing time taking your class Tuesday. I was so happy. I don't know, was that your first outdoor class for the season?
No, we had a few before that, and we got so excited because we haven't been dancing with people for like 2 months. So once you can finally see people enjoying your class, it's so much better than online, and it's just so different. The vibe is really different. So we really like it.
It actually feels for us like, yes, it's a class, but mostly it's holding a vibe with people in real life because everyone just missed, dancing together and sharing energy, even if you cannot be really close to one another yet. But it feels like sharing a vibe and just, being outside feels good.
Yeah, and I feel like, especially for the style of dance hall, this is kind of what it's made for. Like, it's made for it, it's not a studio style. And I want to go into that more and hear more about how you trained when you went to Jamaica and all of that. But first of all, for the people who don't know about you two and your relationship, can you just explain a little bit, like, when did you two meet? How did your crew started? And like, from where you two kind of have your paths crossed?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think it's about 5 years ago now, right?
Yeah.
I think we met each other about maybe a little bit more than 5 years ago, through dance classes, and actually we went on a trip to Jamaica pretty soon. But we didn't really know each other yet, and we didn't know a lot about dancehall. We didn't know a lot about Jamaica, like what to do.
We did do a lot of classes. We
Yeah.
already went to Big Up Camp before we went to Jamaica, stuff like that. But you know, we were very into dancehall, but we before you go to Jamaica, you actually don't know. Now it's easier because of social media. Before, I think Instagram only had photos back then. So
for like 15 seconds.
yeah. So, you know, before we went to Jamaica, it was all like, oh, we saw some videos on YouTube. YouTube was a big thing back then. And well, that's it. And then we actually kind of got to know each other in Jamaica because we went together, and then we were like, we actually don't know each other. We were in a room for like 10 days, and then yeah, it was over. Like we had to be friends after that.
Yeah, you know, it was really intense trip, as in 10 days of actually no sleeping, dancing all day, going to like 3 parties a night or something. Back then it was bigger than right now, actually, like the party scene. So I think the whole experience just made our friendship practically.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now I feel like you are the power duo when it comes to like energy wise. You fit so well to each other, you bounce off of each other. And I also want to get into that more about how you two are working together. But so you went to Jamaica, but where did the love for like the interest for dancehall start then separately for you two?
Yeah. Well, for me, it started through my dad, actually, because my dad was always a reggae DJ back in the days, and he still sometimes does it, but not really. And then I remember back in the days, then we always went to festivals, like with big Jamaican artists, and then I always got to choose CDs. We went to the CD guy, and I got to choose CDs. And I always chose dancehall CDs. And my dad always got upset. He was like, you need to choose roots. You need to choose reggae. It's the roots, and la, la, la. And I always chose dancehall CDs. So then he always let me choose one dancehall CD, and the rest had to be reggae. But back then I didn't know it was a dance style. I was dancing hip hop back then, from when I was really, really young. So I didn't know it was a dance. I was just dancing to it, like dancing. And then my interest obviously in dance started when I started to take dance classes. And that's what changed it. But the music wise, for me, it came from there.
Mm.
Yeah.
And your father, is he Jamaican as well? Or is he?
No. He's from Senegal, but he was always very interested in the Jamaican culture. And that's why he started being a DJ, I think.
Nice. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, actually, I think I also danced hip hop for a long time, from when I was really young, actually. Just, you know, taking some classes, sometimes being sort of in crews, not really taking it seriously always, just always a little bit on the side. And it was actually when I was living for a period in Colombia that I got in touch with dancehall. That was introduced to me as a dance style, because I didn't really know it by then. I did hear some music, but I wasn't really into it, but I got more connected to it through that crew where I was back then. And then coming back to Holland, taking classes, going to what I also was mentioning, going to Big Up Camp, which was actually a really big experience for me, where some doors opened and I was like, whoa, this is like a world, and this is like a scene, and there's a lot of dancers here that I'm really, you know, impressed by and inspired by. So it actually, I think that was in 2013 when I went to Big Up Camp the first time. So that was for me like the biggest introduction, actually.
Yeah. I think that is so amazing, because I have like a little bit of both on you. My father used to listen to reggae, even though he's like pure Swedish, non-dancing dad. You know, he went to Bob Marley in the 70s on his concerts. And so he always played it when I grew up as well. So I feel like, you know, when you have that from home, it's kind of a way into it. Even though he just played one CD over and over again. It's never a shift.
That's how it went again.
Yeah, right. But I think it's really interesting. So Gloria, did you also start with hip hop dancing when it came to the dance styles before dancehall?
Yeah, mostly. Like when I was really young, I tried out some flamenco and some other kind of stuff, but it was mostly like urban styles. Like they called it everything back then, you know, street dance, clip dance, hip hop,
R&B,
little bit R&B, little bit popping and locking. I tried some styles out, but I always kept it urban. So yeah.
Now I also think it's cool, like with Colombia in particular, because it wasn't that many years ago since I understood that Colombia actually has a dancehall scene. I don't know that many other South American countries that have the same type of scene as in Colombia. And I would love to know a little bit more why, or who pioneered over there to make it a scene. But I don't know if you have actually got into that story as well about Colombia's dancehall scene.
Well, yeah, actually, yeah, because let me think. I went there 10 years ago.
Ooh, that hurts.
Yeah, I think it was like 10 years ago first time. And then I was in this crew, which I mentioned before, which actually introduced me to dancehall, and that was fun by a girl from Germany, Alexa, and she like put a group there, and she like bring a lot of dancers together, and that's actually where a lot of things started, I think. Of course, there were things happening, but that was also my sort of starting point. And she introduced several dance styles, but then at one point, like dancehall became to be a little bit more popular. I think also because of dancers like Laure Coutellemot, a French dancer who actually made it some sort of hype out of it back then. So on YouTube, you saw a lot of videos, mostly from France and Paris, coming along. And then there were some girls who are friends of mine, and they decided to create a group, which is called Mulatas. They started, I think now 5 years ago or something, or maybe a little bit longer. I'm not sure. Let's say 5 years something ago, they started the group, and they actually wanted to focus completely on dancehall. So they started to do little performances and then bigger performances, and organized parties, had classes, and they actually became super popular. Like they danced with big artists on big festivals and stuff. And they did a lot for the dancehall scene, a lot, because they organized little battles as well and introduced it to other dancers, because there were a lot of urban dancers from different styles who got interested in dance, and it was actually mostly through them. So there's more people, of course, but I was always centered in Medellin, and they're from Medellin. But in Bogota and in the coast, you also like on the coast also you have a lot of Caribbean influence, because it's also Caribbean coast, you know. So that's a little bit different story, I would say. But as for the bigger cities, I think those girls did a lot for what the dancehall scene is today.
Yeah. And do you think that that's where you kind of got the passion to build up something back in the Netherlands? Because I happen to know that you're running a crew. It's not just people in our age, but actually younger. And like, do you think that you took that with you from Colombia, that kind of community building thing?
Maybe somewhere. I'm not completely sure about that.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, of course, being in a crew or being in a group was always something I really liked, because you can share dance, and dance, I think, is such a social thing. It's not something I don't like to do by myself only. But it was actually, I really remember that day that Awa and me were like walking. I think we were walking towards Rollende Keukens, by the way.
Yeah, I
Like
remember
Park.
that. I forgot that.
Yeah. It was like nice weather and stuff. And we were kind of fantasizing about, you know, having a group where you can invest in, because we were both teaching already back then. And we felt like it's nice to teach, but if it's open classes, it's always switching who's in your class. You cannot really build upon, you know, growth in the people who are in your class. And then we were thinking it would be so nice to have like a group where you can invest in and you can grow together, kids,
and
adults.
I think also like in the Netherlands, there wasn't really a big group of people that were very interested in dancehall. There was maybe a group of 10 people back then that were into dancehall, that were starting to do research and stuff. But we wanted to get like a group of people that were all interested in the same thing, because we knew there were a lot of people interested in dancehall, but not researching it, going into the culture, just taking classes everywhere. And we saw so much talent when we were teaching at all the different schools and all the different cities. And we were like, what if we bring people together to share that same energy and share the same passion we have for dancehall? Yeah. And it kind of got a bit bigger than we thought in our head, because we are the type of people that always think too small of ourselves. We're always like, oh, if 10 people come to our audition, it will be fine. And then 90 people came to our audition in the end, and we were like, oh my God, what's going on? We were like we're really always downgrading ourselves in that sense, which helps us, because I think it helps us, because then when it gets bigger, you're not disappointed. You know what I mean? Like, some people say it's good to put your expectations high, but we put them low, and then they become higher once we,
It's more like a pleasant surprise than actually.
Yeah, it is. So it was really interesting that I think that was in May then, and then a month later, then we did the.
Was it the same year?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Should be.
Yeah.
120.
Yeah. Of course, it was 2016, but we already formed like a crew for ourselves actually that same year, right? Like a little bit before that. We just actually put some girls together, and we wanted to, like, we really like to share together. And we were like, what if we're just a little bit more, like 4 or 5 of us, so we can share a little bit more and be like group, because that feels powerful and that's just nice, and it gives it a little bit more flavor to it. But then I think from there also we started fantasizing about investing in a group for real. And we were, I think, mostly thinking about kids or like youngsters back then, but like people of all ages came to the audition. So
then we started when we chose 32 people, I think, from the 90 people. We were thinking of making a crew, maybe 10 people, and then we had 32 people from like the age of 9 until like I think 26 maybe, something like that. And then we decided to train them in 2 separate groups just because of the age gap, because obviously you have feminine dancehall and stuff, and with the kids, and we had boys as well. We wanted to kind of separate the ages. Still one crew, but in trainings we decided to do the kids together until 18, and then 18 plus together, and that's how we trained them. And slowly that started to form as one big family, how it is now. But it started just like training and just vibing together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's funny because when I researched you a little bit on YouTube, I found Las Sisters, and I assumed that is the female crew that you were talking about.
Yeah,
and it is. I love this because it's just like, it really tells like the picture of you walking to like a food festival, thinking about building a crew, to like one of my first pictures of you standing and having like a whole scene for yourself at JamRock festival with DJs and dancers and people have like your logos, and you're like, we just had this little like idea of making an audition for 10 people. So I think that this is really cool to see, like, to hear about this progress. So you started training 2 different groups, but what did you focus on with the training? Like, you wanted to build up the foundations within dancehall. Did you want them to become a performance crew, or like people that could battle, or what was your focus with these groups?
Well, actually, in the beginning, I think the only focus we had was like investing in knowledge.
Yeah, mostly knowledge.
So we were mostly like focusing on, okay, so which crews do you have in Jamaica? What are their steps? What are their moves? What are their foundations? What's their story?
Their vibes.
Like getting everyone familiar with what dancehall is, what it entails, who is in the scene. Like everything we had been researching, and we felt like everyone should be on that same sort of level of knowledge. So I think we didn't really think about performances or battles or competitions.
And that's our problem a little bit. I don't know if it's a problem, but we're like the type of people. Junction was only created because of a vibe, because of sharing. It was not created as like we want to become big in the Netherlands, we want to do performance, we want to be there, It really didn't start like that. It just started as we want to share. Fun, kids, la 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 la. But then slowly we realized that the Netherlands didn't have a group like that, and the Dutch dancehall scene needed people. So then we started to get jobs. We started to get in contact with JamRock and other organizations, and that's how we realized that it was actually really needed a crew like this. But at first, like, I think it was really just knowledge and just getting them all at the same level of knowledge, because there's just too much. If you don't invest in it, then you won't know.
And also in dance though, right? Because some of the people we chose in first instance were taking classes with AWA or with me for a long time, and some of them weren't actually, or didn't know anything of dancehall, but we just saw big talent or potential in them. So it was also, getting everyone on that same sort of.
That was difficult in the beginning, because we had some people that had no dancehall feeling in their body, but they had feeling, but no dancehall feeling. They had hip hop feeling, for example, and to change that feeling into dancehall can be hard. It's not impossible if you see talent in them, but it can be hard. And to see now, 4 years later, that some of them, if you see their audition, you're like, whoa, you were like coming Friday, next Friday, it's our 4-year anniversary actually. So it's been 4 years. Yeah. Yeah. But it's interesting to see, like for me, like to be very honest, the most beautiful thing about Junction is for me is to see the growth of people, and also the growth on the level of knowledge, but also the growth as a person or in the group itself, like how they're comfortable about themselves, how much they've changed in 4 years, how the kids became like little adults, and you know what I mean? Like that's the most beautiful thing. It's like being a mommy, actually, just seeing your kids grow up and start teaching and start, I don't know, doing lovely stuff. So that's what I like the most about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the funny part is, like, as dance teachers, we sometimes fall into, like, we're starting out as dance teachers, and then we somehow manage to become, as you say, like family members or like a reoccurrent grown up in these kids' lives, and it becomes almost like that becomes the key thing. Like, amazing that you learned how to dance and you grow your confidence, but also like you have a reoccurring grown up that are invested in you and care about you, that are not your pure family. I feel like that also teaches value to kids, like that you can care about other people more than just yourself and your inner family. I think that is very, very beautiful. And I also can see the replication in dancehall in general, because we all know the crews in Jamaica are like families, but they financially also take care of each other.
Yeah.
So the crucial point of like teaching dancehall, you want to try to get all the techniques right and the knowledge and the foundation, but what essence of dancehall captivate you to, and what was it that you felt so passionate about to teach on? What was it that dancehall made you feel that you really wanted to give on to the next generation?
Dancehall's just, I can't explain it, because like I've been doing hip hop and I love dancing, but the thing I had with some dance styles or some dance classes, it depends on who teaches you, is that you're the best in your class if you're the best at remembering and copying a certain move. And if you're the cleanest, if you're good in this, obviously a little bit of feeling, but it's mostly about remembering the choreo in a class. And if you did that, you did a good job, which I couldn't. Like I'm still not the best in remembering choreos if I do very hard choreos. What I loved about dancehall is that there's one step. You ask 10 people to do the same step. They all do it differently because of their feeling. And it's all nice and it's all good. It just depends. You have to do the technique right. You have to do the step right. But our feeling can be completely different of each other. And that feeling of finding yourself in dance and finding what your kind of vibe is and what your kind of feeling is, and sharing that with other people's, for me, what dancehall made so interesting. And that's beside the whole culture of Jamaica before I went to Jamaica and stuff like that. But for me, it was just the whole thing of feeling it and not worrying too much about if my hand is here or if it's here, you know what I mean? And that's what I loved the most about it when I changed to dancehall 100%.
Yeah. Also because dancehall is exactly what you're saying, right? It's movements, but it's not about the clear movement. It's about the feeling actually that comes with it. And I think that's also the hard part of dancehall, because everyone can learn right, left, but then feel it as you should feel it. But then also on top of that, feel it in your own way, like gives different layers to the dance for me. And I also think that dancehall is a super free movement of expression, because it comes with a lot of attitude and it comes with a style. And of course, I mean, we are not Jamaicans, so we won't do it the Jamaican way. But what I really appreciate about Jamaicans and seeing dancehall, you know, being in the streets of Jamaica, I think it's amazing how people are so free and finding their own identity, and that identity can switch from day to day or every week, you know, just however you feel is how you can express. You can be super free in that. And I think that platform of dancehall is super interesting and beautiful and therefore inspiring.
Yeah. I sometimes notice, like, when dancehall is a part of a hip hop event, how people don't understand what's going on. Like, they don't understand where we're so hyped. They don't understand the horns. They don't understand the screams. They don't understand the crying. Like, for a lot of people looking out from outside to dancehall, it's like a whole emotional mess of like attitude and gun shoots and splits jumps and, you know, and
I think it's too much. They think it's too much. They're like, what are they doing? The music is too much. They're screaming. There's too much going on. They're just jumping around, doing the same step an hour long. What are you doing?
It's super extra. It's more than extra. Like only looking at, like you're saying, at the horns or the music and the shouting, and then the hair and, you know, the flips and everything. But it's like it's a lot.
Yeah.
It is. And if you don't have the knowledge about dancehall, about the steps, about the songs, it starts with the songs. If you don't understand what the song is singing, it makes it already harder for actually understanding what we are doing. And there are enough people that are doing dancehall that love it. They're taking class, they have no idea what they're saying in the music, but they're still feeling it. But to really understand it, you have to understand what they're saying. You have to, for example, when we went to Jamaica for the first time, we were in the supermarket and we saw an energy drink, which is called Boom. And we saw it there and I was like, okay, Boom, energy drink. And then when I came back home, everything started coming back to me, everything that happened. And then I started listening to songs, and in almost every song they say, energy like Boom. And you're like, oh, energy like Boom energy drink. Or Suppligen is also a drink. And they also always sing about Suppligen, but you would never know what Suppligen is if you don't go to Jamaica. And it's stuff like that start to make lyrics come to you and start to make moves come to you. And the whole culture of the whole Jamaican culture in general, you see it reflecting in all the songs and in all the vibes. And that makes it, in my heart, it makes it so differently. Once I came back from Jamaica, that everything started falling into place, everything I knew and I've learned. So for me, the whole culture behind it is just very interesting.
And I also think that's actually maybe the difficulty about it, because it's still, let's say, still so pure to its culture, you know? So that's also why hip hop has been evolving so much during the years, that hip hop has different ways of expressing itself. Like everyone can give their own kind of twist to it. So anywhere you go, you can recognize it as being hip hop or like an urban style, but they all give it their own interpretation, and that's cool. But like dancehall always stays pure, or tends to stay always pure. That's the idea, of course. But if you're gonna stay pure to the roots, it's always gonna be all of that. But then it's different because it's in a different context, and if people from that context don't understand like everything Awa just was telling you, then you know you actually don't get it as a whole, because it's not only a dance or a song, it's a whole culture behind it.
Well, the other day I had a conversation with somebody, and that person was like, oh well, I really like the American style kind of hip hop because it's clean, and like the TikTok videos, you know, it's very taka taka ta, and it looks good to the eye. Like we as Europeans are very good at being visual in videos. Yeah, we know how to make a video look good and how to make it nice. In dancehall, it's literally opposite of what you want. Like it's changing a little bit, but it's the feeling. You can do a step 100 times, and that's what we would call dancehall, like real dancehall. And that doesn't, like, we as Europeans already don't understand that, because it doesn't look good on camera. It doesn't look crazy on camera. It's just a vibe together in a dance hall, which has nothing to do with a camera, for example.
And that's messy most of the times.
Yeah. And you know, it's starting to change. Like you have a lot of dancehall crews now that are making incredible videos, which is very nice. Like that helped dancehall grow in Europe and America because of those videos. But in general, dancehall is very raw, messy, and just videos from the party, dark. You don't see anything. So, you know, that makes it different to the kind of hip hop vibes that are the videos are very nice and very choreographed.
Yeah, for sure. And what was the biggest shock for you the first time you came to Jamaica? What was like, you know, do you have a story of something that, you know, happened that you were like, I didn't expect this. I didn't know that this existed here or that this could happen. I can see that a lot of things have happened between you guys, but do you have one of those stories?
Well, yeah.
We've been through a lot. Like, let's say we have a lot of stories, but
and a lot of shocks actually. I think that the whole first trip, like honestly, that first trip was 10 days, and I think we came home and we were like, wait, what?
We came back wider than we were when we went. It was January. We came back wider. We danced in a dance studio, 5 classes a day. We were so skinny after that. We didn't eat at all the whole day. We just danced. Then go home to change, go to 10 parties, and then come back home to sleep 2 hours and go again. So it was insane. But I think, like, for me, the first day we arrived, Global Bob, an old school mid-school dancer, he brought us to Dance JA because there was a talent pre. They call it a talent pre. So that's a talent show for all the crews. We didn't know what to expect. We went to Jamaica without knowing where we were going to sleep or what it looked like, without knowing where to take classes. We just went. We didn't know anything. So he brought us to this talent pre. We left our phones at home because we were afraid that you know, we would lose our phones or stuff. So we didn't have anything to film it. And we arrived at the spots, and literally every single crew that we were studying was there. And for us, it felt like, at least for me, it felt like I was looking at a YouTube screen, because like all the crews were vibing together, and that crew was there doing their stuff. And we were just sitting there, and I'm like, oh my God,
Where are we?
What is going on? Like,
this?
we couldn't realize what was going on because we only saw stuff through YouTube, and there was not a lot of footage back then on how, now you know you're going to go to that class and it's at that spot because I've seen it every day on Instagram. But back then we didn't know, and we saw like the big stage of Dance JA was the only thing you ever saw on YouTube, and then all the dancers were doing a showcase, and when they were finished, they all incorporated us in there. They were all teaching us their moves because they were so excited that someone from Europe was there and they could teach us the steps, and we were like,
what is this? But it was also really special because back then at Dance JA, all the crews would be there, would be now for the talent pre, but also like almost every day they would just be chilling there. And that's actually not something that's happening right now. Like you can see all the dancers at parties, like before Corona, but back then you would have that space, and all those dancers would be there, and they would all be vibing with each other. So it was really special actually. And I think we didn't really realize how special that was because we were just, you know, impressed by everything.
Once we came home, we were like, what did we actually all see? And yeah, I don't know.
And we were looking up to all of them, you know, like I think only some of them we actually knew or had seen before. Others were like, and who are those? And who are them? And who is this? And yeah, we were just super impressed.
And all the steps they've learned us that day. We didn't have one camera with us, so we don't have any footage of. We have one photo that Dance JA made of us there, which is very. I think we look like two ooh, girls that are sitting there. But that was insane experience because everyone was there, and we didn't know everyone, but now we realize that everyone was there. Now that we know, we're like, this is magical, and it's not gonna happen anymore like that. So. Yeah. It was really, and it wasn't even that special, but it was so amazing that they were all there performing big showcases, and it was competition as well, so one had to win or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. I really think that was like a super positive shock for us. And then maybe I actually don't really remember which one was the first party, but probably at parties we were like super in shock.
I think it was Bozy. I'm not sure actually.
But you know, like honestly, from the parties we didn't know a lot yet, but Global Bob really guided us through all of those experiences back then. So he would, you know, inform us actually the right way about what we were going to expect, what was going to happen, how we should kind of position ourselves, because that was a really important point, how, you know, you as a tourist or as a visitor should not just enter a party and just stand in the middle and be like, yay, because, you know, there's a whole space happening there with exchanges and some sort of unset rules and boundaries. So he really introduced us to all of that so we could observe and understand what was happening there.
Global Bob was our savior, I feel like, because you know, we didn't know anything. Like now we bring groups of people to Jamaica and we all tell them what Global Bob told us, like, you have to watch out for this, you have to watch out for this, we don't want to be that group of people. So, you know, we tried to inform them, but he did that without us even knowing that we needed that. Like we didn't know we needed that. We were like, we're just going to Jamaica, and now he told us, as she said, everything that we need to do and not say. For example, pointing in Jamaica is a really big thing. You don't point at people, and we're just like, yeah, look at him, that's correct, Black Eagle, yeah, you know. But you don't do that in Jamaica. It's just the small cultural things, because you're stepping inside of a culture. You're not going to Spain and going into a resort. You're stepping inside of their lives, and we as visitors need to kind of respect that. But if you don't know, then you don't know.
But especially also because I think when we went that first time, there were tourists coming to Jamaica, but not that many. So we were really like, you know, new there, and also, you know, we had to respect those rules. You still have to, don't get me wrong, but I feel like right now it has grown so much over the past years that people in Jamaica are kind of used to a lot of Europeans coming into the parties, catching the cabs, going to like some outskirts of the city where you as a tourist don't go, but the taxi drivers already know that you have to go there for a class or something, you know, so they're kind of used to Europeans coming there for dancehall actually. And I think back then it was like, but you're here for dancehall, you know, like people on the streets or taxi drivers, they were like, why? They didn't understand So we were really new. And I think thanks to Global and also Dansabling, they really guided us and, made us feel safe and made us understand a lot of things, and introduced us in the right way to a lot of situations and people. So that was really cool.
Yeah, really
Yeah.
thankful for that.
Yeah. No, but I can like recognize myself in like I was so confused. Like everything was a confusion. Can I talk to this person? Should I stay back? Should I step forward and dance? Is this expected of me? Should I stay back? Should I, it was just like,
What do I do?
Am I supposed to do Buster Blank, or is somebody gonna pull up a real gun and do Buster Blank? Like it was just so many things. I just remember being like pure sober, like every day, because I couldn't even party with alcohol and nothing because I was so scared of doing wrong in any type of situation. Plus, I also made sure that we all came home, so I was always the driver, and to drive in left traffic in Jamaica and having double as many people in the car as you're allowed to. But I just wanted to make sure that everyone got home. I had to drive every dancer home, and it was just it was a lot to think about. And also I think that one of my biggest shocks was also that the police didn't operate in the same things. Like they would stop us only because we looked in a way, and you could always bribe or you could always have a discussion, and you never knew what would the outcome be. But yeah, as you say, like you have to kind of go there to experience all that. It's like
Otherwise you wouldn't know.
Otherwise, how would it do? So you came home, you had like all this new inspiration, but you actually created performances with your groups. I was it in Melkweg, or like I have no recollection of where.
The theater piece.
Yes.
Yeah, the first time, no, we did it 2 times. And the first time we did it, we presented ourselves in the Theater Rotterdam. There was like during a dance theater festival. I don't remember the name. The Dance Week, I think it was called. Yeah. So we had like a space there in that week where we performed for the first time, and the year after we performed at Melkweg with almost the same piece. A little bit different. Yeah.
It was called Lights, the show. It was very special to us because we wanted to kind of represent Junction in that, and we wanted to share our view on certain things and just also share with our crew and with other people. And I think it was just beautiful that we got the space to do that in Theater Rotterdam and in Melkweg, Amsterdam. And it was a special moment because it was lots of work. It was an hour theater show, and it was months of hard work.
And that actually happened kind of the same way as everything with us. We were like, hey, it would be nice to make like some sort of longer piece instead of doing like an end of year performance kind of thing for the parents. We were just thinking like, what if we can tell a story and
our story,
and also represent dancehall and let people know through another different way, not only party way, like make people understand things, but more like a nice idea or something. And then that nice idea grew out to this project where we were like working 24/7 on it.
Again,
without any experience, without expectation, also without a lot of experience
in theater,
because we didn't know a lot of things. So we actually just bumped into a lot of things like, oh shit, we have to think about this. Oh, how does this work? Oh, how do we supply, I don't know, things for the theater, for the people? How do you do it money-wise? Like a lot of things were like just coming our way like, oops. But, we learned a lot from that.
It was really beautiful, but also it was very, very intense. Like we didn't expect to work that much on it. Like at one point it was just literally 24/7 thinking about it. Already only the music. Like to choose everything you want to do for an hour for 20 dancers, because normally a theater piece, 5 or 6 dancers, we do a dance theater piece, 30 dancers. You were like, we got so much on our plate, like way too much. And then the video footage, but then the everything on stage, like it's just everything was just, we were thinking way too big, but we made it work.
And in learning those organizational skills, what have been like your biggest takeaway from moving dancehall from something you teach steps and choreos to make it into art? Because like you're putting it on the stage, you have to think about lights and all of that. What do you think like individually was the biggest learning moments for you as artists, as dance artists?
Well, I think something that we didn't really think about in first instance was exactly what you're saying, like the whole setting in a theater. Like we were thinking more from a sort of teacher mind, like, okay, yeah, so we make a choreo to a song and the choreo takes like what, 1 minute. So, you know, then you just switch up to the next one. So we actually had to broaden that out, I think.
Stretch it out, yeah.
Yeah, and think about if you're in a theater and people are sitting there and they're not all dancers, they don't know anything about dance. So like, how do you bring your story across? So take your time, you know, a song can take the whole song instead of always being quick and fast, and movements can repeat itself, and we have to think more about the sort of theatrical expression instead of only doing a choreo, you know.
And more movements and
Yeah.
repeating movements as well, I think so. Because it was, I think as she said, the most difficult part was to make sure people that don't know anything about dancehall to make it understand kind of a little bit. Because you can do, we did video footage, but you can not watch a video and watch a show at the same time and understand everything behind it. We can put Bogo on the video, but if you don't know who Bogo is, you're never going to know that he's the creator of dancehall, you know what I mean? So it was very difficult to, at first we really wanted to make it a knowledge show. So we were like, okay, we want to teach them what dancehall is, but then we got some feedback and they were like, okay, you need to also understand that not everybody's going to understand it. Even if you're going to do it, not everybody's going to understand it. They're just going to look at the piece and be like, this is beautiful. And that's what we needed to learn, like
And
to
understand what they want to understand, maybe.
yeah, or see it in a different view than someone else, not just this is it and this is what you kind of, everybody looks at it differently. And that was the hardest part, to make that balance into not just doing choreos, but actually.
But also maybe because we decided to not include any dialogue or monologues, actually. Some spoken word pieces, but they were also recorded. So we wanted to be completely dance theatrical, but that's hard if you want to bring across knowledge. So we had to find a balance in that. And I still think, like, if we would do something like this again, we can, you know, better a lot of things. How you said it, like improve a lot of things. Because it's still hard to make that switch from the studio dancer, from the choreographic dancer towards a theater, and, you know, telling your story with your body language practically. Really good.
Yeah. And do you have a vision of doing that? Do you want to see dancehall exist more in those type of theater rooms? And are you like working towards that in a way?
Well, I think it's nice if it gets more to that side of the society, let's say, because it's a whole different kind of society, especially in the Netherlands, the theater side. And dancehall, same as in the dance scene in the Netherlands. Dancehall was never represented in the dance scene in the Netherlands. It was never represented at dance universities because it was not an official dance style. You don't need to learn dancehall at school. You can just learn it in the party. You know what I mean? So it's just like recognizing dancehall as something that's important. And I feel like, you know, dancehall is not necessarily made for theaters. I still believe that dancehall is made to party. It's made to share like at a certain space and not to make it too much like this. But I think it's good to get it to a certain point of dancehall is important, and dancehall has a knowledge, and dancehall has techniques. It's not just a party step where you're just like twerking around and running around and busting guns around. It has technical stuff. It has emotional stuff. It, you know, it has everything. And I think in a theater, people take it a bit more serious. And that's what I really love to see from people to take it more seriously and not just see it as, oh, that's just dance. So I do that as a side business.
Yeah.
And that's what I really would love to see. And I think it's good if the theater world gets it a bit more into their portfolio.
Yeah. Yeah, I also do think the same thing, actually. We were just discussing, like, if we would have done it this year, it would have been such a problem with the whole corona outbreak and stuff. Yeah. But, you know, we did it for 2 years. And I think if we would do something like this in the future again, we would have to rethink everything, because we already did like one show, and I think we wouldn't do like the same thing. So then it would have been different and actually maybe a little bit more abstract, because we've already been on that topic of, you know, trying to make dancehall tangible in a sort of theatrical form. So it would be a little bit different. But yeah, definitely, it would be nice to see it also in other initiatives, you know, like if people take more parts out of it instead of only being a party vibe or only being a commercial female thing, mostly seen as it, you know. Yeah.
That's also such an interesting aspect of the whole thing. Like, you know, when I started to learn dancehall, I also thought, you know, this is a female style. And then you go to Jamaican, like, where are all the females? Like, there's so many men dancing. And like, where does this misunderstand happen that in Europe, it's mostly females dancing it, and we're doing all the male steps and female steps. And yeah, I found now it feels like it becomes more females in Jamaica doing the male
Which is
steps
very
too.
nice. Yeah.
Which is really nice. But I remember how shocked some of them were in the beginning to see, like, oh, well, this weird women coming here with all these gun moves, and you know.
Yeah. No, it's very interesting. I think the biggest thing here in the Netherlands was video clips. That I think that's the reason, because back in the days that was all you were watching. Right now you don't really watch video clips, but back then it was MTV, the Box, I don't know, all these things where you watch video clips of the Jamaican artists, and there were always females dancing next to the Jamaican artists. So that's what kind of a vibe we got here in Europe. But what I also saw at parties here in the Netherlands was, because when I was younger, I went to parties with my dad, and then I always saw that they would also only play the female tunes, which is also very interesting, because then you create a female vibe around it already. Because if you never play a gun song, people are always going to whine. Even me, if I'm in a party and I hear a female song, I don't go like, so the party scene also changed kind of the thing in Europe, that mostly the female songs are very popular and accessible, and the gun tunes still to a general public. If you go to a big festival with general public and you play very gangster, massacre, or governor songs, they won't understand what's going on. They're like, what is this? You
and
know?
It's actually still like that also on smaller parties. Like the general public who hears, oh, dance hall party, they just think about whining songs or female or vibes or, you know, commercial songs. So that's why they go. So that's also what the DJs would play, you know. So it works both ways actually, and it just keeps it in that same sort of substance, which, you know, we had a lot of discussions about also with DJs. You know, like you have to introduce the new stuff to the people, otherwise they will never get used to it, and they always want to hear the same thing. And I think there's no such, or maybe I cannot say it, but at least I think Jamaican culture and dancehall culture evolves so fast. Like there's so many new songs like a day produced and coming out, of which, you know, maybe some of them only stick around, but there's a lot of new music always. So how can it be that at a dancehall party they're still playing a song from like 5 or 10 years ago, while, you know, nothing of today or yesterday
or this week or this year? But it is interesting, and that's why I think, as you mentioned, when we got like our own stage at JamRock Festival, that was for us like the biggest thing ever. I think next to Lights, that was the biggest thing ever, because we could decide what we're gonna play. We all of a sudden had a party. We could decide what to play for the dancers, and you know, we are in very good contact with JamRock, and we always said that we're missing the playing for dancers. Like there's so much dancers in the Netherlands now. We grew, but they don't play for us. And now that we got JamRock Festival, our own stage, we didn't have to think about commercial people at the party. They'll go to another stage. We didn't have to think for people that didn't like that type of music. No, it was called the dancers area, and we play whatever we want. And even non-dancers, grandpas, I don't know, everyone came and vibed and loved it. And that showed actually the whole dancehall scene in the Netherlands that it does work. It's just the way you do it. We invited a lot of dancers from abroad to create a vibe that people want to stick around and be like, what is this? Why are people running around to the left side and back side and just, and I don't know what? They don't know what's going on, but it's interesting. So they want to stick around. And that's what we wanted to show. Like, it is interesting for the public if it's not only wine and catch and wine and catch. It is interesting if the whole public runs to the left and runs to the right.
And also understands actually how important dancers are in dancehall. Like, I think in this scene and in this culture, dancers play such an important role. You know, they always are in close contact with artists in Jamaica. The artists are at the parties, the dancers communicate with the DJs and the artists, so it's all connected, you know. So the dancers are super important to be there and create that vibe. And Also, like, again, like, we're not in Jamaica, we are not Jamaicans, but still, if we want to play the songs and if we want to enjoy and understand the culture, people also should understand that the dancers are an important aspect to it, you know,
and the MC as well, because
Yeah.
we invited DJ Master J from Mixmasters from the UK, and he's like, for me in Europe, I can say it, he's one of the best MCs, because he's the reason that our area was so amazing. He literally said what the people needed to do. He literally said, move your right shoulder to the front, then fling it, and then people did it wrong. And it was like, no, pull up, you need to put your right shoulder. So it was always like a dance class by him MCing, we connecting with him by dancing and teaching it to the public, because we were also teaching the steps. And he in a certain way, people understand what was happening, and he was telling the story in a funny way, not like, this is dancehall, you have to do this. He was telling the people why we need to fling our shoulders, why we need to go up in here, and that's the whole conversation that we wanted. Like the MC connecting with the dancers connecting with the people in the party, and that's like a whole circle of like vibes. And it's just, for us, it's just like, to have that in the Netherlands, for us, is just magical.
Yeah, and it's also what makes dancehall so cool, I think, because it involves everyone. Like, yes, the dancers who do it for a life are there, but also everyone who is there, the whole public who maybe have never danced in their lives before, they can get involved. You know, that's actually what social dance is about, that we can all share. Everyone can fling their shoulder, everyone can move around from left to right or back and front, you know, so everyone can enjoy that vibe, and that's actually what it's about. So like I was saying, the fact that we had the opportunity to do that with JamRock, and that they gave us that space.
Again, no experience.
Yeah, you know,
just gave us
getting
on
into
the stage.
it. I think honestly, you know, like JamRock saw that we just really love what we were doing, and that was cool, you know. And so we really have a nice relationship in there, and we just talked about ideas, and you know, it just works because it was a vibe, and that was enough. People just want to have a vibe.
I think for us, we've just been very lucky the last 4 years with certain people that came into our lives and that saw something in us that we didn't even saw in us. We were just like, because the same for JamRock, we were sitting somewhere and we were like, oh, it would be cool to have an own stage at JamRock, ha 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 ha, joking. And then we were like, why don't we just ask as a joke? So then we said, Lux, what about having like kind of dancers on stage? And it was like,
maybe,
okay,
you know, like,
yeah. And he was like, oh, you mean an own area? And we were like, yeah. And he was like, oh yeah, why not? Let's try it. And we were like, oh, okay. We didn't expect that. And that's how everything kind of rolls. And we really want it. Once we get it, we go 100% for it. It's not that we're then like, oh, okay. But we really go for it. But it's just interesting how stuff like that happens, and then we just do it, and then we're actually very excited about it.
Yeah, I think that was an amazing experience, and also, as you say, like how important dancers are in the parties, but also how important the person that, like, the selector, the DJ is to, you know, like, how many hip hop parties have you, like, they stop for you to get the right instructions, or they're like, stop, no, you're looking the wrong way, or like, I need another person on stage, or, you know, like, it is a whole live show. It's a whole, like, everything. It's a whole experience.
It's also the jokes, because honestly, the MC is always making fun of people. You're like, no, you're looking the wrong way, and then everyone has to look at that person. You know, it's also the whole
making fun of people.
Yeah, just the fun.
Yeah.
Like, people don't even feel maybe that the music stopped because they're just having fun. Yeah. And something is happening.
A good MC for me is even more important than a good DJ. You know what I mean? The MC almost decides what song they're gonna play. The DJ just plays it. You know what I mean? And the MC is so important. And so many people, when they go to Jamaica for the first time, they're like, oh my God, I get so annoyed by this guy talking for 1 hour. But that's dancehall. Like, if you understand what they're saying, it's a lot of the times it's very interesting and very funny. But if you don't, then you're just standing in a party like, oh my God, is he finished now? But you get used to it, like the screaming and the yelling. your ears get bad, so you don't hear it anymore.
The dancers and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I think that the one of the also the funny memories I have is just how you have like all these cool like dancers and people standing by the bar and looking all serious, and they always have this look of like, I want to be ready for the camera, and if the camera comes I'm gonna look away with my sunglasses. And then all of a sudden the DJ stopped the music and they're screaming out, who loves their mom? And like all these cool people are like, yeah, mom, like, yes, big up mom, source of queen. And then just they have like a song shouting out the praise for their mothers. And I'm just like, this is the heaven for people who loves to watch people and watch characters, because dancehall is just full of characters. The people banging the lids, and the peanut man, and the jerk chicken, and the people that are there dressed head to toe in orange, and it's just so much happening, happening.
It's just a whole, you're watching a whole theater show. Like actually every single day it's a whole theater show going on there, and you start to understand, and it's so addictive for everyone. Everyone that loves dancehall Jamaica is so addictive, because you're living dancehall every single day, and that's what you want if you love it.
And also how people are being super resourceful, because it's always like, it used to be always on the streets, and people just work with whatever's happening. And I think it was Sanjay saying in one of these documentaries, which I found really interesting, is that like actually dancehall could be seen as a sort of ghetto theater, because people just work with the props, whatever they find around. So, there's a fridge over there, just bring it in, like something on wheels, just let me just do a hat top on top of it, just let me just dump
someone pushes it forward.
let me just go up on the roof and then just fall down or whatever, like just work with whatever's happening. And again, it's a lot, it's super extra. And I think in dancehall, the bigger the better, or the crazier the better.
Same with outfits.
Everything
for sure. You might come in with an outfit, you might go out with less of an outfit, or a completely dusty outfit. Something happened, Well,
I remember the first time we went to Jamaica, we were so overdressed or underdressed. I don't know how I say. At least overdressed, as in we had too much clothes that covered our bodies. We were like brought so much stuff, and all of it was actually not really working out. We brought a few
for like Spain or something.
Yeah, for going to a beach club or something in Spain. We were like, we have to bring our shorts, jean shorts, a few nice tops, nice bodies, then we're good. Then we came there and we were like, no, we're actually not good. This was a big mistake. Then second time we came back, we're like, we need to change our outfits.
Yeah.
And not too extra. We're still like kind of normal people, but like we were like actual two like student girls from I don't know where. So
just seeing whatever was happening.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
But like, what then is the future vision for Junction Crew? Because now you tried to have it, like you moved it into an artistic stage. You now, you tried to have your own scene. You hired, you flew in a DJ. You actually had your own festival area. So, I mean, what's next? What do you want to do? Where's like the dreams? I know you're humble, but please, like if you could just take away the humbleness a little bit, and like just what would be the dream for Junction Crew?
The thing is, we like, if I can say it, like everything, as I said, like came a little bit as a surprise, and we never really set goals apart from being a family and keep on growing. For me, it's really important that everybody keeps on growing in their own way. And I literally, at this point in the Corona vibe, I don't really know what's next. We had a lot of events going on this summer, which are all canceled. But for now, like we didn't really discuss like our big goal, because we never really do. It just kind of comes along. But for me, it's just to keep on growing the way they do. Like not growing as in we want to become bigger and stuff like that, just growing towards each other and seeing how that goes. And if I see where they already all are, I'm already like so happy. Like I left to Australia feeling relaxed, feeling like I could leave my little babies behind, because they're all grown up now and they all move their ways, and they all, they're ready to shine in their own way. Like it's not about us anymore. At least that's how I feel. I don't need to be in the picture anymore. It's about them now, and that's what I would love to see, for them to grow by themselves.
It's also, we never really had a conversation, between us or something like, okay, so what's our 5-year plan, or like some kind of future ideas necessarily. but it's mostly what I was also saying, like that everyone can grow as a person, as a dancer. I think what would be really cool is if everyone can find their own voice in dancehall and in dance, but we still can also be, you know, strong as a team, not in a sense of being all the same dancers, but being on a sort of equal level of strongness. That was actually also what we were kind of building to this year before Corona hit. Like we decided to do some competitions, which were never really our goals, but maybe to, you know, challenge ourselves in different ways and also work on that performance level a little bit more. And then also with the festivals, you know, just being there, growing. But I think now that we can all already train outside and stuff, I think it's actually a positive thing for us, because we're not really bound to a studio. We're just outside, rolling that vibe, getting back to that groove and to that energy. And, you know, lifting each other up is also always really important.
Yeah, and the problem with our crew is we're very sensitive for each other's vibe in a positive way. Like, they need each other for them to grow. They really build on each other's energy. If someone next to them has a lot of energy, they're building it up to it too. So when we were doing online classes with them the last months, it was hard, because that's not how we operate as a crew. We operate together, and that's where we get our energies from. Even just seeing each other and being like, "Whoa, you look good," or something like that. It's just the whole energy of the vibe that we have around us. So the whole Corona thing kind of made it a bit heavy, because that's just not how we operate. And now that we can dance outside for the last 2 weeks, it has been much better, because we can finally see each other again, vibe with each other again. We don't have goals at the moment, or not goals, but events, or we need to train for, no likes, no pressure. They have zero pressure at the moment. So
actually, maybe that's actually a really good thing, because even though we didn't always have plans, there was always something we had to work for, you know, like something we were training for, because we trained for the last 4 years every week. We always trained every week, even if there was nothing happening or there was nothing coming. We were like, it's important to keep it always going and seeing each other, and maybe outside of training also seeing each other on other points of the week and just hang out, but mostly to see each other at least once a week, to keep it, you know, alive, to not forget to work on those freestyles, those grooves, those knowledge and whatever. But maybe it's for the better right now that we don't really have some sort of pressure point, because now it's just, you know, there.
Yeah, I think it's good for them as well to kind of have a break of the busyness, because we have been very busy. Like, I've been away, but before I went away, like every week there was an event we went to in the weekend, or we needed to perform, especially in summer. So it would have been a very busy summer, which is nice, but it's intense, especially for the people that go to every single performance. It's just intense, and maybe everybody has the time now to look at themselves as a dancer, see what they want to grow with, and see what they want to do. And I think that's all right. Like, as we said, we're not really a crew that, you know, we don't want to become big thing or big this or big popular or TikTok famous or la la la. We just want to vibe together.
Sure.
And that's still, for me, that's why we started, and that's still what I want. And if beside of that we can do a theater show, we can be at JamRock or whatever, Lowlands, I don't know, that's amazing. But for me, still, that's not my goal, and it never was my goal.
Yeah. And because you mentioned something on your class in Tuesday, and you said, like, this have given us like a creative break or creative pause. Like, what would you say have been, yeah, your biggest, like, oh, now I landed in my why? Or have you had any like enlightened moment during these months?
I had, yeah, because when I was in Australia, I love Australia, it's my favorite place to be, but my inspiration was very, very low. And before in the Netherlands, same thing. Like, if you just teach a lot of classes, it becomes a must, and then you have to create because of the creating. And I really missed the kind of just natural inspiration and just coming together, especially us, because we have kind of a very interesting relationship. When we come together and just hear a song like, okay, and then make a choreo like that or a routine like that, and not think about it too much, not be like, oh, but we need to be on the can, on the boom, and then we have to be very pretty on the camera or stuff like that. We just go. And that's something that now, I just realized now that we're doing it together the last 2 weeks, that we're like, oh, it goes so easy now, and it goes so not stressful than the times that we had to teach a workshop together and we're like, oh, we still need to make a choreo, but we don't have time. Oh, we got pressure. We don't have a song. Oh, what are we going to do? And we, like, at least I don't have that at the moment. It's like, oh, what choreo, what song? Okay, all right, let's go. Boop, 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 boop. And we got it.
It's definitely the fact that we're doing it together, because it's always better together, I think, than by yourself, because with two you always know more. But it's also, for me at least, the fact that I'm not teaching a lot right now, because teaching almost every day in the week and then several classes, I mean, I love it. I still do, but it also gives you pressure. You always have to come with something new, whether it's knowledge, steps, or a choreography, or, you know, you just have to be there. And now it's not happening, which is also, of course, not super nice. But at the same time, it gives you some sort of space to breathe and just let things flow and then
Reflect.
Yeah, reflect on it. And then, you know, honestly, we just hang out. It's nice weather. We're outside. We're super relaxed. And then we're just like, let's just make something on this. Cool. You know, and maybe it's not perfect, but we don't really aim perfect. We just aim, like we have been saying the whole time. Like,
and that's maybe our problem. Like, we're not aiming perfect. Some people say if you don't aim for perfectness or whatever, then, you know, you won't get to a certain point, or you won't get really popular. Again, that's not what we want together, not with Junction. It's just we want to share each other's vibe. And we can now, because of like the Corona thing, we have more time to do that, and we have more time to just relax and enjoy it. And for me, like, I don't need to be perfect. I want to enjoy that particular moment. I want to enjoy that vibe. If we want to make a video, it's going to be a vibe. It's not because we want it to be visually the most amazing video or something like that. So that's just a personal thing, and everybody's different in that, and that's fine. But that's what kept us going for the last 5 years, and that's what worked for us, and it's still working. So why not keep it that way if that makes us happy, you know?
But I also think, like, apart from this, I think you could also relate to this probably as a dancer, and maybe as an artist in general, whether you're making music, paintings, or whatever. You have moments of inspiration and moments where it's just on a low, and it's always, of course, influenced maybe by circumstances outside of you, or your mental health and a lot of other things happening. But there's just moments where things just get stuck for some reason and you just don't know what to do. And there's moments where it sort of flows, and then it feels sometimes like a sort of door opens and it just goes. And that's just amazing. And I really think that you always should take advantage of those moments, because that's actually where you have to catch that moment. Being perfect or imperfect, just enjoy it, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely feel like through all of this, that all of our life stopped, you also don't feel like the same stress of like the FOMO. Like, you know, if you would take a day off 1 year ago, you would still see on Instagram that people doing like millions of projects and videos. And even if you try to relax and like cut it all away, it's really hard, because you see that people are like doing stuff all the time. And even though you know it's not the truth, you know that they have bad days too. It is like, as a dancer, it's really, really hard to not compare. And so I felt great, you know, that everyone had to stop and nobody's doing anything. So none of us are missing out on anything. There is nothing but right here.
True.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. No, but I'm like, I must say, like, I love your vibe. I think that what draws me to you, which I also feel so refreshed, because I used to teach, you know, dance hall back home in Sweden, and for me to move to the Netherlands was definitely a way to be able to stop the teaching and just like, I want to be a student again. I just want to vibe. I just want to think about feeling energy, giving energy in a non-forced way. And I must say, like, meeting both of you, I remember you from Rotterdam. I took one of your classes, AWA, and you, Gloria. I think I kind of saw you on JamRock, and just both me and my boyfriend were like, oh my gosh, the girl with the hat, like, look at her, like, her vibe is amazing. And then just finding you, like, oh, she's teaching, amazing. And you know, big up to you, because I see also the little I've seen of your students, it just seems to be very relaxed of how they look like, and it's not a fashion competition. It just seems to be like a big family. So I know for a fact that whatever you've been doing, you know, keep doing it. It seems like it's been working out for you. It's not a problem that you're not always correct or whatever, always polished.
Perfect.
So I'm gonna thank you so much for taking this time and talking with me. And before we wrap it up, I kind of want to leave the mic over to you. Is there anything you want to say to the people out there? You know, something you want to shout out? Do you want us to check out anything online about you, or whatever you want? The mic is yours.
Okay.
Well, for me, it's just, I just want to say to everyone that's interested in dancehall to do research on it. Take as many classes as you can. Now that there's a lot of online classes from Jamaicans, you can follow Jamaican classes without being in Jamaica. So make use of that, you know. And if you want to learn something, dive into it and make sure you know everything about it. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world. You can find the love of dancehall inside of you. And I hope that everyone that's interested in it will do the proper research on it and really support the Jamaicans, because they really deserve the support that they're not getting most of the times. And I don't want the camera to be too much on the Europeans, such as us, because it's without them there wouldn't be any dance hall. Without them we wouldn't have steps to teach, and without them we wouldn't even be teaching. And for me, it's just to be very thankful that they exist and they keep on going and they keep on struggling every single day to create those steps. And you know, that's what I'm really thankful about, that they are there. And I think we really need to support that and follow as many Jamaicans as you can. You can send me a DM and I'll send you all the Jamaican people you need to follow, because they need the support more than we do.
Yeah. And always remind yourself that once you get into dancehall is not only a dance style and only a song and only a music genre. It's a whole culture and it comes with it. So try to always understand it in its context. And definitely, I also think once you get into teaching, you know, do your research, like I was saying, because it's not only the form, you know, with every style, with everything you're doing. Like, I think for yourself, it's so interesting and important to know your roots, but also as paying respect to where it's coming from and understanding the music and the vibe and what you're actually expressing with your movements, what you're saying. Yeah, I think it's important to never lose track of that you're actually expressing a culture that's not yours, that you're actually visiting. And yeah, right now you can do everything online, but once everything opens again, the borders and whatever,
please go to Jamaica.
If you have the possibility and you're interested in this, go to Jamaica, you know, because it's not only the classes that you're going to take and meeting the people, but it's like, you know, as well, these are like, you know, going to the parties, which I hope are still going to be kept, you know, after all of this. But going to the parties is actually where everything will happen and where everything will fall into place, especially if you've been listening to the music, because then you get like, oh, this is what they're saying about, this is what's happening, this is the interaction, you know, everything we try to kind of connect here is there in real life, in rawness, and it's so important and beautiful to experience it.
Dancehall is beautiful.
Yeah.
Dancehall is beautiful. And you know, whenever you want to arrange next trip, sign me up. I want to go with you.
Yes. I will.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for the people who don't know where to find you, like, where can they find you on social medias, websites? Do you have anything that we should check out?
Well, you can follow Junction Crew. That's Junction Crew with double W. Junction Crew. And well, you can follow us on Instagram as well. My name is AWA and then NGOM.
My name is Gloria Munoz, 90.
But yeah, you can see us there. You can always send us a message if you have any questions or want to discuss certain things. You can definitely do that.
Yeah. Yes. And for the people who wants to like comment questions, you know, you can always do it on the videos on Facebook below. And we're going to do the best to tag everyone and tag your pages and stuff. So thank you so much for taking the time out. And, you know, amazing work. Don't stop. I see you on Tuesday, and have an amazing weekend as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.